All right, guys, I've got another fantastic episode for you guys. I think you're going to dig this one. My friend Katie is here, and she is pretty fresh off of Western States, where she ran in 1823, which is blazing, blazing fast. I did Western States in 2015, and I barely made it across the finish line in 24 hours. So I want to hear about your journey.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it. Thanks.
But yeah, give us a quick intro, Katie. Tell us who you are.
Yeah, so my name's Katie Asmuth. I am a ultra runner for Saucony, and I'm a mom of two boys, a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I'm also a family nurse practitioner. So life is very full. I live with my husband and my kids in Mammoth Lakes. We recently relocated from LA, and yeah, we're really happy living it up. There's been a little twist in my life lately with Western States. It's just been really a fast, kind of a quick change in everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, get on the train. The train's moving. We got to go.
Yeah, I think it all started with winning Bandera was kind of catapulted me into this new stage in life, in this sense, in running, in that I knew I was running Western States and I knew I could compete, and I knew that I would be, on the world stage for the first time. And I was like, all right, I'm going to really take this seriously and really give myself my best shot. And so thank goodness I have a really supportive husband who's like all on board. And we're like, all right, now's the chance. Let's move to Mammoth and let's really kind of, I don't know, shoot my shot and say yes to opportunities. And so nothing was manifested in this way. It all just kind of happened.
Really? Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. So Bandera 100K was your golden ticket race, I'm guessing?
It was. And I had done well before that. Before Western States, I'd run 300 milers. I had done a handful of 50 milers and 100Ks. And I had been doing really well, and but really just loved to run around in the mountains. I'm a mom, I'm a full-time nurse practitioner. I'm like having, just trying to juggle it all and doing lots of handoffs with my husband. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, you're going to Western States. Like, this is really happening. When you get your golden ticket on your first attempt at a golden ticket race, it was pretty wild. And I was like, all right, full steam ahead. Yeah, let's do this. Wow. Yeah, kind of fun.
Are you working with a coach?
Yep, I've been working with David Roach since 2018. Oh, cool. So I've swap running. I'm sure you and your listeners know him and his wife Megan. So he's a big part of my running journey, I should say. And I can't imagine my taking on what I've been able to take on without a coach. So it's been pretty, it's definitely a team effort.
Good. Cool.
Yeah.
What does that look like with you and your coach? Is it pretty structured, and are you guys like communicating on a daily basis, or what's that like?
Yeah. So, he coaches a lot of athletes, and the daily discussions are all on like a Google Sheets back and forth. So I'm in touch with him every single day, but I often just pick up the phone and call him or text him or, so he's really good about being, available when needed. So especially in big moments, is when I'm like, let's talk. Like, kind of a race recap was really important after Western States, and kind of what's the plan for moving forward. And so all that's done on the phone, but he's a really good coach. Yeah. Big fan. Yeah.
So you've had him as a coach for a couple years now. Did he know what your plan was going into Bandera 100K, or did you have a plan going into that race, or was it just kind of a shocker?
I mean, I was going into it for the win, of course. Yeah. I mean, I flew. So to kind of backtrack a little bit, I wanted a coach when I first started training for my first 100 miler, and that was in 2018, Angeles Crest 100. And so after I ran my first 50 miler, it was Marin Ultra Challenge. And I was like, all right, I think in order for me to get to 100 miles, I think I need more training. I had never run competitively before. I'd never had a coach, for running at all. I grew up doing ball sports, basketball, soccer, volleyball, softball, and this running thing was just a way to get out of the house, get into on some trails, kind of alone without my kids.
Yeah.
And so it started out as just that release. And he really helped me get to where I am and set me up for that first 100 miler. And then going forward, we've just been building, and the goal is to get to Western States. I mean, that was my goal all along.
Okay.
And when I first started, running ultras in 2015, that was like, every trail runner wants to run ultra, and every ultra runner, I should say, wants to run Western States,
Totally.
So it was like Western States, UTMB, like those are the two that I really wanted. And then, of course I have to throw in Hard Rock in there, but Western States was a big goal of mine. And I planned actually in 2020, I was planning on running Georgia Death Race. And then of course that got canceled with COVID. So the first day Bandera came up for registration, I was like the first one, I think, that entered. So I was really ready to go for it. And I really had emotionally detached from the effort because we were in the middle of COVID. And honestly, I was working, in the front lines, and we were in the middle of a surge in LA. And the idea of, having both vaccines in time for Bandera just didn't seem possible. And somehow I don't know, the stars aligned, and I was able to get both my vaccines in time for the race. And I headed out and full PPE gear, on the flight. It was pretty scary. And, but at that time, and so Bandera worked out. And after that, I signed with Saucony, and it was like, all right, my life is like the cosmos are pushing me in a new direction, and
totally,
we're just gonna kind of roll with it.
Yeah. So, well, congrats on everything. That's pretty exciting. So keep doing what you're doing. That's so cool. But you haven't been running ultras for a super long time though, have you? Like,
no, I am definitely a late bloomer. I am like a mom. I'm a nurse practitioner. I like running was a side thing that I just like to run around and have fun in the mountains and go on badass adventures with my friends. Yeah. But I don't know. I happen to be good at it, I guess. And I think mom grit helps with running 100 milers. And I think generally my personality is to really not take it all for granted, like I definitely focus on that's really the perspective that I carry all the time. I think working in healthcare, you have a different perspective. I work with like low income patients that are struggling to put food on the table. So for me, it's such a gift to just be able to run in the mountains. And so I just take that joy. And I know that this is just, makes running more meaningful and, more fun. So I love to compete. I definitely have that, competitor fire in me, but I also realize that there's so much more to life than running, and running is almost this, vessel to take you further and to push you further in different ways in life. It definitely, a lot of the lessons learned in running carries over to life, and, daily life's lessons carries over to running. So it's really goes hand in hand. Yeah.
Okay. So we got a lot to unpack there, but I still want to go back to like the beginning. You said you grew up doing ball sports, and then how did you find your way into ultra running? I know you were just trying to escape the house. It sounds like have a little personal time, mom time to yourself, which is cool. But then, did you know, you said you've been wanting to do Western States for years. So how did you find out about Western States when you were a new ultra runner? And just how did it all start?
Sure. Yeah. So it first really began when I started running really my, 2008, when my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and I was working night shift at LA County General as a nurse in the ER, and just the trauma that I saw and was a part of, and it was just a lot to handle. And so after my night shifts, I would just run, and that was my way of coping. And so that kind of became a kind of a safe place for me to just, I don't know, let my mind wander and not feel so intense, I guess. Like I didn't know what Strava was, or I wasn't pushing myself in any way. It was really just to get out. And I think that carried with me as more things in life occurred. It was like, okay, running is always a baseline. That is like, now I love it so much that I'm like, how do people live without running or having some release like that, and I think movement is medicine in many ways.
Totally.
So yeah, it started then. And then when I met my husband, he was training for Ironman. And I remember when we got pregnant, I was like, no, this is not going to work out. Like, you can't go off on these 6-hour bike rides and I'm gonna be home with the kids. Like, that's not how this is gonna roll. And he's like, well, sign up for something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. I got to sign up for something. So we had had our honeymoon in New Zealand, and we just started running on trails just to cover more ground. And it was super fun. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm really into this, And so, yeah, I joined a couple of trail running groups that taught me a lot. And I was just, really listening to podcasts and reading books and, reading Ultra Running Magazine front to back, and just really, being a sponge and trying to understand as much as I could about the sport. And, time and time again, it was like Western States,
Okay.
And so you just kind of get into that, like, oh my gosh, that's where you want to be. And so that's kind of where it started. But really, I also know it's about the journey, and there's not just a final destination. And I'm like, I want to be a part of the Western States family. And now I am, and I'm excited to go back again, and hopefully again after that, and just make it a part of my annual training plan. But it's a pretty special place. And so that's why Western States. I think it came from learning about it early on in my running career, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the oldest and most prestigious 100 milers, and you're right, it's a special race. But it sounds like you're already planning on going back next year.
Oh yeah. Yes. I'm like already training for it.
Oh yes. I love it.
Like, let's go. I'm ready. I want to do it again.
That's so cool. So when you were running in the beginning and you started these run clubs and you were just kind of getting your feet wet a little bit, did you find that you had a little bit of success early on? Did you have some natural talent in there somewhere?
I think I did. And I think it actually surprised me a little bit. I mean, I've always been, I was a good athlete in school, and I did well. Like, I was captain of my teams, and I loved to play sports, but running was in my mind, kind of pointless. It was like, there's no team, there's no goal or home run or something. There's not a basket why are you just running? I just didn't really understand it. And so running with these other trail running groups, the camaraderie, the community, just the stories, it was just I felt like I had found my people, and it was super fun. I did realize pretty early on that I was just really kind of learning so much, but I knew that my body could take me faster, but that didn't mean that we weren't all a part of the same community. So, but I definitely knew I was kind of holding back on our group runs, and eventually made friends with other people that were part of my swap team, like a part of David Roach's and Megan Roach's team. And so that was really fun because we all had the same coach, and we were running the same paces, and, so that was really fun. And I think I learned a lot from the different parts of, from backpackers, middle packers, the community experience, kind of really, it was just a really cool way of entering into the sport. And I really have a lot of respect for people that have been doing this for a really long time and trying to learn as much as I could. And so I'm still in that learning process for sure.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah. And you're right. There's so much you can learn from middle of the packers, back of the packers, leaders of the race.
Oh yeah. So much respect all the way around. I love this sport so much. Yeah. I mean, we're all so crazy. It's like we are a special breed, and we speak the same language, and then you speak to someone who doesn't know anything about ultras, and they're like, what, you know, like, do you pee while you run, or asking all these questions, you know, it's so funny.
Yeah.
We definitely have a special mindset, that's for sure.
What do you get if you finish? And the classic line, I don't even like to drive that far. I don't like to drive that far either. I know.
Like, walk away.
Right. So how old are your kids?
4 and 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you balance this? You have a full-time job, I'm assuming.
Well, we moved from LA to Mammoth in May. So I did take a couple months off work because I wanted to really give myself the best chance I could at States.
Okay.
So I'm really proud that we made that decision, my husband and I, to do that. I mean, I'd worked my whole life, you know, and so it's really strange to not work for a little bit. But it was amazing because I really got to focus on my body and the mileage and, like, you know, learning about Western States even more and just giving myself the best chance I could and just really respecting the race. And so I did so it was 2 months before Western States is when we moved. And that was, really great. Also, we're renting our house in LA. And so there's a lot of transition and getting the boys in school in Mammoth. And, you know, so there's a lot going on. Sure. But we've owned a place here in Mammoth since 2017. So for them, it wasn't that crazy of a transition. It was just going to the mountain house. So we've spent a lot of time in Mammoth over the last couple of years. So like the last 3 years, like we'd be out here like once or twice a month anyway. So we have a community here, a lot of awesome friends, and nice. It's definitely home. Cool. So anyways, but now I'm working again and really miss patients. So it's been really nice to be back. So yeah, it's been a really fun transition, trying to being able to juggle it all. I will say I am now decrease my hours some because I want to make sure I'm recovering well and I'm putting in the mileage. I'm definitely amping up the mileage, amping up the intensity also. I have a race coming up in September. So, you know, I want to take this seriously. I think there's a part of me that wants to just be able to do it all, you know, go back to full time as a nurse practitioner. But I think giving myself that grace of, okay, you know, this is not forever, this, you know, time that you're able to really push your body to these limits. I mean, you can always push your body to these limits, but I mean, in the sense of being competitive, and I, you know, want to take that part of, you know, the sport seriously and also respect the sport and my competitors and give it my all. And so, yeah, I think I'm able to balance it, and that I'm very present where I am. So when I'm being mom, I'm all about being mom. You know, when I'm running, I'm present running, and, you know, vice versa with my patients as well. So it's a very mindful way of living in that regard, where you have to kind of, you know, set your priorities, and when you're there, you're there. You know, sort of thing. So.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So the 2 months before Western States. So I'm just picturing this, like I'm picturing like a Rocky sequence, and you're out there running and lifting weights, and the song is going, and you're just getting pumped up, and you're building up to this thing. What did those 2 months look like, and where was your head at? Like, I'm just picturing if I was going to take 2 months off of work specifically for this big race, you know, obviously I'd be running and training a lot, but I might get in my head a little bit. Like, if this is all I have to think about, I don't know. My mind might go a little bit kooky, but I'm curious what your 2 months were like.
Yeah, it's a great question. Luckily, I do have my kids to keep me very, very occupied.
Good.
So I am like very busy with them. And I will say, so it was a strange coming to Mammoth. I was like so excited to move here permanently, you know, or until further notice. We don't really know. We never all know what our futures are, but so we're planning on being here for a while. But I raced McDonald Forest 50K, literally flew, like I quit my job. It was my last day of work at my clinic that I'd been for almost 8 years. And it was like crying, like it was horrible, saying bye to everybody. And then literally left from clinic to jump on an airplane to fly to Oregon on my first trip as a Saucony athlete. Whoa. And it was so fun. It was like my first business trip or like work trip of my life. You know, it was like, this is fun. And it was really awesome. I probably had the best race of my life there, actually, in an athletic sense or a speed sense, I should say. And I'm really proud of how I raced that. And I came back feeling like, let's do this, you know, like super pumped, had a lot of confidence. I lost Ian Sharman by 90 seconds. That was really tough. I was like, but that was really cool, you know, to know that you're running with the best was really exciting. And so that was a really awesome kind of way to start the journey. And then we moved to Mammoth, and of course the altitude just like hits you like a load of bricks, you know, and you're like, oh man. And, you know, I just run a hard 50K, like as fast as I could. And it was really funny to get here and be like, oh, never mind. I can't run here. I'm sore, you know, but it's all right. I started that first week. I remember like getting the boys settled and in school and figuring out the daycare situation, like all that. There's a lot, as other parents will understand listening. So there was that aspect of it. And then, and then I was slowly able to kind of amp it up and, tried not to get hurt.
Totally.
And just honestly, I just really was just stoked to be able to train for Western States and know that Saucony didn't put any pressure on me. I also run for Exoskin and Fluid Nutrition, and there was like only uplifting comments and just cheering for me all the way and just want me to succeed as a person over anything else. And so I think I've done a really good job of surrounding myself with really positive people and sponsors that just want the best for me as a person also. And, if there's any pressure, it's just on myself, but it wasn't really pressure. It was more of like, come on, Western States. I couldn't wait for it to happen because I'm like, I'm primed and ready. Like, I don't want to peak too soon.
Totally. Yeah. So were you running like really big mileage? Were you working on speed workouts, weights, yoga, ice baths? Like, what were you doing?
Oh man, yeah. This is all the things. So I think if you're not a parent, you can do all, like if you have
right.
I can't imagine that. So I didn't do really much other than running, which I'm now changing that perspective. I would do the occasional like David Roach speed legs and mountain legs. Well, like often, like, like 5 times a week, and then would do like band work with glutes, but that's really it,
Okay.
And that's like while your kids are like pulling on you and, but I would run, and I have really low mileage compared to, I think, most of my peers. Yeah. Though I am amping it up now slowly. So I think that will probably change in the coming year. But I actually handle low mileage really well. I think it comes into like, stress is stress. The body doesn't know if you're stressed about work or kids or, cortisol levels increase and your body is feeling that workload, no matter if it's, for training or not. So I think David Roach is really great about knowing that. And my mileage has been pretty well. And that's how I've been able to stay injury free a lot. And if there's anything, it was really my T-band that was bothering me, and it's been holding up really well. So,
Okay. So in the back of your mind, I'm just curious, do you worry about increasing your mileage because you're having a lot of success at what you call, with low mileage? If you ramp that up to 80 or 100 miles a week, are you worried about injuries or, knock on wood? I don't want to jinx you in any way, but is that something you think about?
Yeah, I think I trust my coach. I'm not a coach, so that's really who knows what my future is, but that's not my plan. I think I really put my training into the hands of David Roach, and he's really good about listening to my body. And if I say, all right, I think I need to hold back a little bit, or I'm also really trying to work on keeping easy runs easy. So that was not something I was very good at. So I'm changing that. And I think that's a part of amping up the mileage. So when I say, when I would run 50 to 60 miles a week, I mean, we're talking really low mileage, with 75 for a peak. That's it for a peak week. That's pretty low mileage for a top 5 at Western States. That's really low. And I think it's because I wasn't always keeping those easy runs easy, if you know what I mean. I would looking back, I think I I really was like trying to be efficient about my time on the trail. And like I said, juggling everything, it was like, all right, I'm going to make this 10-miler count, you know?
Right.
And now as I'm amping up the mileage and realizing that that's really important for me, it's not for everyone, of course, but I think it's really important for me when my coach says 10 miles easy to like, take it easy, like go out with friends, like take it easy. Like we're not racing here.
Totally.
Let's not fall and get hurt, you know? And to really take that seriously. So anyways, I am changing a bit. My mindset has definitely shifted into, like, not like I have anything to prove to myself because I always knew that I could do well, but it's now like, I want to be the best athlete that I can be. And that, hasn't always been the top priority for me. And so now it's like, I'm really trying to make that one of my priorities in my life. And so it's really fun, but it comes with more of a different mindset, I guess I should say, than just like going out and frolicking in the mountains like that I used to have. And now I'm really trying to take it seriously in the sense of being respectful of the distance in a like really taking recovery seriously, you know, making sure that I'm, you know, fueling adequately, like doing all of the small things that you just don't really think about as much when you're just out there having fun. And I'm still out there having fun, but just trying to kind of hone in on the small details, I should say.
Yeah. No, you got to do all those small little things in order to do the big things. But it sounds like your attitude is totally in the right place. And just keep it up. So it's so cool just to see the journey progress. And I have a feeling like this isn't the end for you at all. This is just the beginning. So I just love picking your brain. And your husband is an athlete as well. You said he was doing Ironmans. Is he still training a lot? Are you guys like juggling kids back and forth between bike rides and runs? And
he trains more than I do.
Oh, so really?
He has an Ironman in October. He has a half Ironman in December. He's running his first 100K, Waldo 100K in August.
Okay.
So I love him. I'm so excited to be a part of his journey also in ultra running. So I'll be pacing him, which is fun. I'm still looking for babysitters to if anybody's out there wants to watch the kids while I pace him. That'd be great. But anyways, we're gonna make a family trip of it. It'll be really fun. We're actually staying in where he grew up. So Willamette Pass, where Waldo is, he actually learned to ski at Willamette Pass, and we're staying in like this little cabin that he actually grew up in, which is really cool. So it's a homecoming for him, and it'll be a great trip. So we have a lot of vested in this whole world. We love it a lot.
I feel it.
Sport. We're just fans. We're really into supporting each other through this journey and pushing each other to the limits, and like supporting each other's dreams. You know, one of the things we always talk about is like his dreams are my dreams. Like if he has a big goal, it's now my goal, right? So, and I think that's really important when in any relationship, but you know, it's makes it more fun when you kind of make it internal, his goals, you know, as well. So
absolutely.
Definitely a family affair for sure.
So what's a typical night like at your household? I'm picturing, you guys eat a really healthy dinner, you go to bed at 8 p.m. and then you're up at 4 a.m. training the next day. But I'm sure there's, that's probably close, but I'm sure there's a lot more in there as well.
Yesterday. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It's like when the kids go to sleep, I'm like, mama's down. I'm down. I'm totally down. So we don't have a lot of other things in the sense of, we're actually, so like a lot of our friends are also doing this, right? Sure. So my social life is usually like doing activities.
Let's go for a run.
You know? So it's just, that's how you're able to fit it all in. I did make it down to Ojai, where I'm from, Ojai, California, with I'm one of 5 kids, like I said. And so, I think I said that. Did I say that? No. Anyways, but so I'm a big family, like love my big family and my nieces and, my kids hanging out with their cousins and stuff. So we're able to kind of squeeze in family time and friend time, but like in between all the other, trail time.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
I know how it goes. I mean, like like in my situation, like I'll be exhausted from work on Friday, right? Like, oh, the week is finally over, thank God. But then it's just come home, pack up the van, we're going to the mountains, bunch of running this weekend. And then I come into work Monday just exhausted. And people are looking at me like, what'd you do this weekend? I'm like, don't even ask.
Something I heard recently, it was I'm feeling tired but inspired, right? It's like this idea of like I'm always kind of like could fall asleep at any moment.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm so stoked that it's like that drive is so much more. There's an underlining like happiness when you're out exploring mountains that's what gets you through the work week too, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I can tell your stoke level is high. So
yeah, for sure. If it's not high, you've got a problem in ultras. It's like, this is too much of an endeavor. If you're not like stoked on it, maybe take a break.
Probably not going to go well for you if you're not super stoked about your race.
Yeah. Decrease those mileage. Cause it's a lot. So I think it's a easy to kind of fall into the, like, it's too much instead of being like, I can't wait, instead of like, I have to go do a run. I get to go do a run. It's like switching that mindset of like being able to do it is you're lucky to be able to do it. Because sometimes when you're training, it's like, oh, I got to do this. And so once you get there, it's like, tone it down. You're getting burned out, eat more calories, and like, take it real easy, because it's if you want to be in the sport for a long time and you're not a visitor to the sport, I think leaning in on trail friends is key also. Yeah. Because we all feel that way sometimes, but
yeah. Where does that come from with you? That ability to just stick to it and really focus, and just this thing that you have, like, was it something you were born with? Did you learn it along the way?
I think I've had really incredible mentors. I will say, I think, your parents that have taught me how to like look at things through different perspective. I think those silver linings. I remember just thought came to mind, but I was running Zion 100K and I fell right on a cactus, and there was like all these cactus, little cacti,
prickers,
in my glute.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my God, like, okay, like trying to walk it out, like, am I okay? And once you realize I'm totally okay, I just have all these thorny spines coming out of my butt. I was like, okay, well, there were so many, there's hundreds of them. There was like,
oh no.
Anyway. And I changed that mindset of, okay, it's sort of like acupuncture. I don't know, like I'm activating my glute or something, and you kind of change that, like maybe my muscles are waking up, maybe this is an advantage, and just sort of changing that mindset of, instead of kind of panicking and being like, oh my gosh, I need to stop and pick every one of these out. Yeah. Later, my friends had to do that in the hotel room. But it was really, kind of changing that mindset all the time. I feel like a lot of us trail runners, because we are in the wilderness and we have to be resourceful, and we come across something unexpected, we have to be resourceful and, kind of use that like flexible mindset, growth mindset, to be able to even get through that training run, let alone your race. Right. So, and, I think we do lean in on each other with our crews, with our training friends, with our family, to help you in that process. But I feel like that's really fundamental in trail running. And it helps you if you're not that way, then becoming a trail runner will give you those tools, because you can't really do it without having that mindset. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Did you have this mindset before trail running though? And does this carry over to other aspects of your life as well?
I think maybe my whole life I was just training to be a trail runner.
Yeah.
I think, I guess my parents gave me that kind of resiliency mindset, being one of 5 kids and getting through like my sister has type 1 diabetes, my mom had cancer, just like we've dealt with a lot of like health stuff, and my stepfather passing, and there's just been a lot, like every family has a lot growing up that we dealt with, and then you overcome, and time will heal, and we're going to be okay, and sticking together and leaning in. And I think all of us in our family really wear our heart on our sleeves. And I think that's helpful when you're in need of help, to be able to reach out. And I feel like in trail, you really do depend on it. It's really a team sport in so many facets. And I tried to tell Saucony, I'm like, you're signing this contract with me, but it's actually my whole team. That actually went over pretty well. They're like, okay, tell us more. But the point is that it's really, I think that mindset of, that like, it's always going to be okay, that you can be in the thick of it. And this can be in trail running, like in the middle of a race, and you can, really be struggling deep in the pain cave, and just know that you're going to get through that pain cave, and there's light through the tunnel, and you see it, it's going to come, but you just got to keep going through the cave, or you'll never get to the end of the light. And I feel like some people DNF and just give up at that time. And there's so much like beauty through that pain cave. You just got to get through it. And sometimes in life, it's the same way, where not DNF, but like give up, or hopelessness, or, despair. And I think it can, it's easier to fall into that, I think, sometimes. And so the attitude of like, saying attitude of gratitude is so cliche, but that idea of like, it's okay, we're going to get through it, lean in, get help, trying to say yes to help, I think is really important. And being okay with talking about, your mental health and, where you are. So I think that there's a lot that translates from running, racing, and then also in life, a lot of, life lessons I've learned, I use on the trail all the time, and then vice versa, I would say.
Yeah. You've got the perfect attitude for ultra running. I mean, that's exactly what you need right there. I mean, it's like 90% of ultra is mental, it's like you have to be so tuned in, and it's like, okay, this is what we're going to do today. We are going to get to this finish line, no matter how long it takes, no matter what happens in between. I
remember my mom would tell me all the time, she would say, don't look up at the hill ahead. Don't look at how high that hill is. I mean, this is growing up, right? Yeah. And I mean, it's so funny because looking back, I'm like, that was a perfect metaphor for running. But she would be like, don't look at how high the hill is. Just look at the step in front of you, right? Yeah. And so I think of that all the time while I'm running on a huge hill, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, instead of being like, oh my God, there's so much vert. Oh my God, how much longer? Instead of going that, it's like, I'm just looking in the step in front of me, one step in front of the other. And eventually I'll get to the top of that hill, and that's okay, And actually, I'm excited to be at this moment, and just kind of being present in that struggle is a part of it. And that's a part of the journey in it. And I think, like my mom, for instance, is telling me that was helpful. Then going into trail running and being like, oh yeah, I know I'd handle this, So it translates well. And I hope I'm giving some of that to my kids, but I guess I'll never know. If they turn into trail runners, I'll be very proud. Actually, my youngest, oh my gosh, he went for a run with me the other day. So they'll do, half mile with me or something. Yeah. And I said to Liam, I was like, Liam, you're going to be such an amazing trail runner. He was so offended. And he looked up at me and he's like, I already am. Oh, my love. It like broke my heart. I'm like, yes, you are. Oh my gosh. It's like already a part of his identity. So anyways, my point is that I'm hoping I'm sharing some of that also with my kids. And,
I'm sure you are.
But it's so much bigger than ourselves.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. So you fell down on a cactus, and I've
broken my nose.
Yeah, you had another famous fall at Bandera 100.
Yeah.
Do you mind telling us about that?
Oh my. So that race, like I said, I was just really happy to be there. I didn't know I was going to be able to race because of COVID. And so just towing a line in 2021, it was January, but during COVID to tow a line was just such a miracle. And so I was just stoked to be there. I knew I was also ready and I wanted to compete, but I was just so happy. And I think that's how I really, look at every line, line that I toe. Is that right? But anyway, so I started the race off pretty conservatively, and I knew another runner, Emily Hoggood, that I had raced before, was going to start out pretty fast, and she did, and eventually caught her at mile like 32. It was like right at it's like 2 loops. So right at the aid station that you start in on the second loop, and I caught her there. And so we kind of went back and forth, and we were just having fun. Honestly, we were like cheering for each other. I don't know. She's great. And anyways, I came into mile, like it was like 38 or 42. I don't know, but it was the first time I was in the lead all day. And I'm running along and coming into the aid station, and everybody's super loud, and, cowbells going, and it was super, super stoked. And I'm imagining my husband, who's back home, of course, because I went by myself because it was, during COVID. And I'm like imagining him seeing on the tracker that I'm coming in. Yeah. Of course, they didn't have tracking. He had no clue. But I'm imagining that like my friends and family are all cheering for me, and I'm seeing the aid station and they're cheering for me. And so I'm running into like downhill into this aid station, and my toe just catches a rock, and I just fell so hard on my face, just total face plant. And it was just silence in the aid station. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was so bad. And there was just blood everywhere and just like instant sharp pain. And I was like, oh God, this is bad. And like I said, I grew up doing fall sports, and when you're bleeding that bad, you can't go on. They will pull you from the game. Like, there's blood. And I was like, all I could think about was like, don't let anybody take me. Don't let anybody pull me. Like I'm running, like I'm like trying to shove, because I had gloves on because it was really cold at the time. And I was like shoving gloves up my nose. I was like, I'm just going to keep going, and a girl at the aid station says, I've got a tampon. Would that help? And I was like, oh, thank God. Like, that's exactly what I need. I knew it stopped blood, and I've used tampons many times during races, but not in this way. And so I was like, exactly what I need. I shoved it up there, and off I went. And it was pretty painful, but also like fine. It wasn't a broken leg. Like I'll take a broken nose over that any day. And I think any trail runner would have done the same thing, but it was a pretty quick turnover. I shoved it up there and was like, thanks so much. And off I went. And
oh my God.
How Runner's World picked it up, and like Trail Running Magazine. And I was like, oh my God, this is my 15 minutes. Awesome. Like, cool. The girl with the tampon up her nose. It
could be worse. I mean, you could like fall down in a McDonald's bathroom and get famous that way,
Something. I know, right? I know. I was definitely not, it was not a glorious, glamorous, like pretty ending, but we got it done, and I was able to get to Western States, and really, it was a really fun day. I mean, definitely was empowering to be able to, finish with such a strong
with a broken nose. Yes.
And I went directly from the race to the emergency room. It was really funny. I was like so tired. But yeah, anyway.
That is awesome. Yeah. That is like badass points forever. That is super cool. So did you come across the finish line with a tampon in your nose?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I tried to take it out. So my pacer, that's a story in itself. I like just met my crew and pacers that day. And actually one of them paced me at Western States, which was really fun. So Courtney Rouse. But anyways, she mentioned, she's like, just try and take it out. Cause I was like, Courtney, it's really hard to breathe. Or I said something that was like, that it was commenting about how it was frustrating. And she's like, just try take it out and see what happens. And I started taking, I was like, whoa, bad idea. And it was just like, I was like, okay, this is not good. So I shoved it back in.
And you knew it was broken?
Yeah, it was broken. It healed really well. So it was non-displaced. It was fine. In the scheme of life, it's like, it was nothing.
Sure.
It definitely got a lot of attention. It is so funny too, because any trail runner would have done the same thing. Yeah. But it just so happened that it was in a golden ticket race. So it like brought more attention, but it was pretty fun. Yeah. That wasn't fun. It was a pretty wild story, I guess.
Yeah. You got a good story out of it, if nothing else. Yeah. And at least you didn't knock your teeth out. Like it could have been worse, right?
Yeah. So Lindsay Ulrich, do you know who she is? So she was running the race too. And she chipped, oh gosh, I'm going to say this wrong, but like 6 teeth. Whoa. She's like still dealing with it. Yeah. There was a lot of carnage on that trail.
Wow.
I think their slogan is like, no wimps, whiners, or wusses or something. And it was like, the runners took that really seriously. I mean, there's a lot of blood out there. Bandera is way more technical than you expect. It seems really runnable, and then you just catch a toe and it's pretty,
for sure. Yeah. Exoskin. Tell me about your experience with
Yeah.
them, because I work with them too. And by the way, thank you, Croy, for setting this interview up. But I love their stuff, and I'm guessing you must as well. What do you wear their shorts? Do you wear their socks? What do you wear?
Yeah, so I started running an Exoskin several years ago, and really ran every single race. I had one pair of socks that I would run in every race with. I was like, this is my, like, every time I went on a long run or like racing day, it was like my special socks, right?
You're
'Cause I love them so
superstitious.
much.
Yeah.
And they were just badass socks. And I didn't want them to like get a hole, but they never did. They lasted for like years. And I was like, okay, I need to start like buying more socks. Like I can afford more socks, you know? Anyways, so I started, I just really loved the brand. And another friend of mine in LA wore their underlayers and talked to me about, like, he was running Western States as well. And he said that he was going to be wearing the underlayers. And anyways, that's when I reached out to them and I said, I would love to learn more about representing you, because I've just been running with you for so long. And I had never worn their underlayers. I actually wore the shorts, compression shorts, and then their socks during Western States. And that worked really well for me. Didn't have any blisters. There's something about their technology. I mean, Croy has sent me articles like about like the technology, the science behind it.
Right.
It's really wild. I mean, it's so impressive what they have been able to do with this fabric. So they've used it like medical grade, to prevent blisters. It's pretty cool. So anyways, from the medical side of my brain, I was like all in to like learn all about that. But big fan of the brand. And just really the company is just, Croy is awesome. It's just like a small family owned brand that's
totally
just killing it. And somehow they have this renowned fabric that I'm like, secretly don't really want to tell anybody about, because I'm like,
right.
I feel like I have such an advantage.
Yeah, totally.
Like, this keeps me nice and cool. This keeps me blister free. Like, but I'm just kidding. But I really believe in the brand a lot. I'm really pumped to represent them.
Cool.
For sure.
I want to talk about Saucony too, but before I forget, I just forgot. What was I going to ask you? I lost it. I'm sorry. Okay. Into Saucony. How did you get hooked up with them, and what's your relationship like with them?
So I have loved Saucony since I read this article in Runner's World about dirt power. So I am a real, just really impressed and in awe of the company in itself. Okay. So I love their shoes, but also this idea that being in the wilderness transforms you, and they really believe it. I mean, their team is so like stoked on trails, the trail division. I mean, I think the person that's been there like the shortest amount of time is like 20 years. I mean, it's really amazing. Wow. And it's all women led. Saucony's been around for 123 years. They have a woman president. They have the trail department is like run by 2 women. I mean, it's just really, for me too, and I'm really passionate about bringing more women, more moms into the sport. And so for me, it's like, if the face of trail running has more women, then we can really, identify with that and make gear for women and make shoes that women want to run in. And so I'm just really proud to be a part of that. So I read this article like years ago about dirt power and how they just love the idea of, not being faster on the trails, more being like feeling strong on the trails. And I really felt that really resonated with me. Anyway, so I reached out to them and really several other companies after Bandera and talked to like maybe 5 or 6 different companies. And Saucony was like hands down, like not even like, for me, it was like, oh my gosh, Saucony is the most incredible. Nice. The people that like, they're so uplifting. They're just an incredible company. I love them. I love that I'm representing them for the next 4 years and hopefully longer. I am really excited about what's in the pipeline too. So I've been working a lot with their research and development team about I've been testing prototypes every run.
Cool.
I feel like I have like 30 pairs of shoes right now. So it's really fun to have such a say in the products that are coming out, and what's in the pipeline is just unreal. So I just feel like Saucony Trail has been around for 123 years, but it's really taking off, and I'm just really pumped to be a part of that journey. And, you know, just a part of the brand. So yeah, they're a really incredible company to run for, and to be on a team with, you know, Molly Huddle's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So like, it's fun. It's like, you know, pretty small trail team and like a really big road team. I'm learning more about road, which is fun, but Grayson Murphy and I kind of hold down the trail side, which is fun. So I'm like their ultra girl, but yeah, I know that the team's going to grow, and I'm really proud. They have this foundation called Run for Good. They've given millions of dollars to community clinics around the nation for fighting childhood obesity, you know, so obviously that really resonated with me as a family nurse practitioner. And then they have, you know, sustainability practices, and they're just one of the leaders worldwide, trying to bring more sustainability to their shoes and to the product. So it's pretty amazing. I'm really, really excited for them and the innovation that is going on behind the scenes. And so, yeah, I could talk about this for a long time, but
yeah, I can tell it's like a dream come true for you.
The other brands I was talking to. So yeah, this is really fun. I'm much more than just like a name and these are my highlights in running. It's like, they really care about me as the person. And
nice.
Yeah, so it's fun.
Cool. Very cool. Diverting our conversation a little bit, I wanted to ask you about your job. You said that, I mean, it sounds like you're really passionate about it for one thing, but you also said that you have patients that you missed. So what kind of is it a clinic that you work in, or what exactly do you do in the day-to-day?
Yeah, so now I'm working with a place called Melodus Health right now. So I'm doing like more like consulting right now. And then I'm also starting at a family federally qualified health center in Bishop. So that's fun. So I'm doing to be able to get back to seeing patients. So I'm really excited to get back into actually physical like patients. I think there's a lot of stress on telemedicine, especially post-COVID. And I like telemedicine in that it's really, you know, easy for patients, but I just really miss the one-on-one contact with patients. So yeah, I'm really excited to get back into the clinic. So that's starting soon. Yeah. Cool.
Wow. I don't know how you do it all. It sounds like you're a busy woman and you pack a lot in, and but
we all do it all. I mean, really, I'm nothing special in that regard. We all have so much on our plates. Yeah. It's true, right? And totally. And I think when you're a parent in this world, it just definitely intensifies how amazing it is to be out there. Yeah. So I think that there's this aspect of stoke that takes everything to like another level, because you're like, to be able to just get outside and hang out with friends or be by myself on trails is amazing. But I think juggling it all, it's all kind of connected, you know, in my life. I feel like it all kind of like complements each other, like each part of my life. Does that make sense? So I don't feel strained in any way. And if I did, I would definitely have to reassess things, and not saying I haven't always felt this way, but I'm definitely making a priority in a lot of communication and handoffs with my husband, but it's not easy. I should say, you know, we definitely work at that part of it. So yeah, I think we're all are juggling lots of things, and you know, this is just making all of it more meaningful. Lots of yes moments have been coming up lately. So that's really
that's exciting. I mean, and you know, this might just be a time in your life where things are just clicking. You know, you don't know how long it's going to last. Maybe this could be the start of the next however many years, or it could
roll with it, right?
Or it could be a great summer, right? You don't know.
I hope it's more than that. You never know, right?
You never know.
To your point, you never know what happens in life. So yeah, every day is a gift. I know that's so cliche, but it really is. And I think working in medicine, you really understand that to a different degree. And as a parent, you know, so I feel really stoked to be a part of this community. I'm really excited to not ever be a visitor to the sport as long as I'm around and my legs are moving. So yeah, I'm pumped to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I feel this great energy coming from you, and I feel a lot of gratitude. Is that something you had to work on, or is that something that came naturally to you? Do you have to take time in your day to like say 5 things you're grateful for in order to put you in that mind frame? Or do you just wake up super happy and grateful for the life you're living?
I mean, there's days that it's not always like, I'm not always like peppy. I don't know. Like I'm not always like stoked. I need my morning coffee. I don't know. I feel like we talked about with that perspective, I feel like that really is important. I really love my kids, so when they wake me up in the morning, and like, that's an amazing way to start your day, is when your little 4-year-old's like, Mommy, I'm awake. It's really sweet. It's like cuddle with me in bed. And just, it's a wonderful way to start your day when you have those small moments of perfection. When they're so sweet, doesn't last. The sweetness will fade at times, but I think that's a great way to start my day. So I guess that's a part of my gratitude practice, is that I wake up, my kids wake me up. We have that okay to wake. Have you heard of that before? Like the light turns green to wake
okay.
Are able to wake up, so they know when they're allowed to wake Pete and I up, and so they'll come upstairs and like wake us up. And that's just a beautiful way of starting my day. And I think, I don't take that for granted. I don't know. I think I'm just under my baseline's pretty happy. I don't know.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm cheering for you, Katie. I can't wait to see what's in your
Thanks.
future. This is so cool. I mean, such a fantastic summer. And what's the race that you said you have coming up in September?
Yeah, so I am running my first international race. So that's really fun. I'm running Ultra Trail Harricana Canada. So it's a world tour event, Ultra Trail World Tour event. And so they selected me to run it, which I'm really pumped about. And I'm going to go out and give it my all. It's an event that's going to feel, even though it's Canada's not that far, it's 2 hours from Quebec City, and it'll be a lot of French, which is fun. And I'm running through a UNESCO biological reserve, which is supposed to be just absolutely mind-blowing, like so beautiful. And just to run in that kind of wilderness was something new to me in that part of the world. So it'll be a grand adventure, and I'm really excited about it.
Wow. Cool.
So, yeah.
Is that the only race you have on the calendar right now?
Well, I'm hoping for Worlds in Thailand, but I spoke to Adam Chase with ATRA, with the American Trail Running Association, and he's thinking it probably won't happen this year because of COVID. So I was really, really pumped about Worlds in November to try and to put my name in for that. So we'll see if it happens. Then that will be my next A race for sure. And if not, I'm thinking New Zealand for Tearaway 100K in February. Which is now a golden ticket race, so which will be really competitive. But the other girls won't have to worry about me since I'm already in. So, but it would just be fun to compete. I really love to have a lot of competition, and it brings out the best in me for sure. And I just have more fun, like running hard. And I feel like that's when you find more out about yourself and all the stories, when you're like pushing yourself and challenge yourself to the greatest. And I think you learn more, about yourself. I want to just push myself to my limits. And so you have to, I think we use each other in racing. Like I want to run with the best because I'm going to get the best out of myself. So I'm going to really try and put myself in really competitive races, and just for fun and to be able to compete as hard as I can. So.
Just to do it. Just
because
yes.
Moments,
I love it. Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Any shout outs you want to give? We mentioned your sponsors. Anybody else? Your husband or anybody else?
Oh, my husband. I mean, that's like a hands down, my husband. And then my mom for watching the kids during Western Stage, watching the kids when I go to Canada, watching the kids if I go to Thailand. It's like always my mom is
Thank God for mom.
The kids, my sisters, my brother. I mean, it's like a full family thing, So I definitely have to give big shout outs. My husband, hands down, is couldn't do any of this without him. So I definitely a lot of gratitude for family and for my husband for sure.
Cool. Well, keep your stoke high. I feel it. I think everyone's going to feel it. Keep it high. I love it. I mean, this sport
people call me out if I'm like feeling less stoked, like,
oh yeah.
Tell me, Katie, you need to decrease the miles. And I'm feeling pretty good. I'm just really riding the wave and seeing where it would take me. So
yeah. Well, cool. Well, listen, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it. And I just wish you the best of luck in the future. And we'll definitely be keeping an eye on you, and can't wait to see what happens.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Super fun.
Absolutely. Have a good one. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.